and welcome to this Astranti tuition video for the case study exam. In this video we are going to be specifically looking at the actual exam itself, looking at why the case study is different to the objective test exams you will have sat in the past. We'll also look at the system that you are going to be using in your exam, looking at the timings for your questions, how to plan your time effectively, before looking at some various different things you need to be aware of when taking your exam. So we're going to start by looking at just why the case study is different. And the main reason for that is it's not just about the knowledge. When you were taking your objective test exams, it was all about your ability to repeat textbook knowledge, to revise textbook knowledge, learn it, and then repeat it. But that's not the case in the case study exam. Yes, you will need that knowledge, but it's more of a test of your ability to apply that knowledge, and specifically apply that knowledge in a real world scenario. Remember that CIMA need to know you are capable of being a qualified management accountant. They need to know that you are able to use this knowledge to drive performance within the business that you are operating in. The other big difference is the way that it is examined. Now, in your objective test exams, it was very much a case of answering multiple choice questions, multiple response questions, and doing some calculations. But that is not the case in the case study exam. There will be no calculations you have to do, but you will have to do a lot of writing, and you'll receive questions in the form of emails, memos, and briefing notes. And you will also be required to respond in the form of emails, memos, and briefing notes. So what this means is it will involve a lot of writing, not just a case of clicking answer A, answer B, etc. You'll actually have to do a lot of writing. And this can be a problem. And the reason why it can be a problem is that a lot of students for CIMA do not have English as a first language. And CIMA is an English exam sat all around the world, so there'll be plenty of students who do not have English as a first language. But what this does mean, though, is there will be no negative marking and no penalizing students for spelling and grammar, because that would be unfair to students who do not have English as a first language. Also, we're accountants. We're numbers people. We're far more 1, 2, 3 than we are ABC. And we're not necessarily used to writing long written answers. So what does this mean for you and for passing the exam? Well, the key to passing the case study exam, which is different to the objective test, is you need to be splitting your time differently. And instead, you need to be working on your planning, how to plan answers to questions, working on your time management to ensure you've got enough time to answer the question effectively, and also practicing your writing style, because the writing style can make a big difference. And as a result, the theory, which is almost everything when it comes to the objective test exam, is actually only a small part of it. So in summary, it's a very different exam in terms of how it is sat and the kinds of skills you need to have available. It's not just about knowledge anymore. You also have to think exactly about how you are going to write answers, how you are going to plan answers, and how you are going to get your points across effectively. So let's look at the exam system now. It's a computer-based exam, just like the objective test exam. And it's very important that you familiarize yourself with the system. So what we're going to do now is look at the actual system that you will be sitting your exam on. So this is the home screen you'll be presented with when you enter the exam hall to start your exam. And I do advise that all students do log on to the Pearson VUE site to test out the system, familiarize themselves with it before the exam. And whilst this is a sample that I'm using here, this is completely representative of the actual exam. And just as CIMA have said there, they also recommend that you familiarize yourself with the system. And the exam will tell you the breakdown of requirements, the breakdown of subtasks, and also advise the amount of time that you should be spending on each subtask. So if we look here, we can see that the first question is going to have 2 subtasks, second one 2 subtasks, and the third one 3 subtasks, and also gives us a breakdown of the amount of time that we should be spending on each section. That will help when we come to the timing and planning section later in this video. And it also says here that you will be able to find information about the pre-scene. So when you start your exam, you will notice that the timer in the top right hand corner is already starting to tick. And it's very important that you keep an eye on that time for reasons that will become more apparent as we progress through this video. And the question that you will receive will look something like this. So it's quite a lengthy question with a lot of information in. And then we have our subtasks here broken down by the amount of time that we want to spend on them. And we're going to talk through some of the various different features of the exam. So you can see, if you click on the reference material, you can see that they have given us a newspaper article here. Now it's very important that you look at the reference material, because the reference material will provide some additional context for the actual question. And CIMA has given this because they expect you to use it. So please do use it. They also give a copy of the pre-scene. And it's very important that you use this if you need to. But what I would also advise is that you have done your research in advance, because you don't want to be spending a lot of your time looking through the pre-scene when you are trying to sit your exam, when you're trying to answer the questions. So you can use it if you want to quickly look up a key fact, but I do advise that you have read through the pre-scene before, familiarized yourself with it, and listed out some of the various key topics from E, P, and F before. And as an addition, they also have a copy of the exam structure, so if you want to familiarize yourself again with the number of subsections, etc., you can do that. They also provide a scratch pad where you can type in information. However, I do advise that you do not actually use the scratch pad, because the scratch pad is not submitted at all, and a lot of students, they try to plan into the scratch pad, but it's quite difficult to plan to the scratch pad because, again, it's not going to be submitted, and then also you have to open up your scratch pad again and relay what you were planning back into your answer box. And I actually find that it's far better to use the answer box. So scroll through, click next, and then you'll get your answer box. And if you want to see the question again, all you do is click on the reference material tab and click on task here. So click back on the task and you can see your answer there, or sorry, see the question there, and then plan into your answer box. And so you would plan, so point 1, and then you would do your various different points under that for your plan. And then all you do is convert this into your answer, convert these points, convert these sentences, convert these into paragraphs, and that will essentially be your answer. And it's far better to do that because it keeps you focused, keeps you from having to constantly look at your scratch pad, keeps you from having to look back at what you've done and copy over what you've done. Ultimately, what you submit to the examiner, to the marker, is going to be what is typed into this particular box here. So it's far better to plan into your actual answer box, because that is what you are going to be submitting. That is where you are going to be writing your actual answer. And so it saves you a lot of time and keeps you focused, keeps your mind on what you are actually writing. And then once you have finished, it's very unlikely that you will have finished before the time because of the timing constraints of this exam. And I also advise you to use all of your time because, as I'll show you, as we click next, big box comes up saying you're about to leave this exam and you will not be able to return once you have left. Do you want to continue? And so if you do click yes, it will ask you again, do you want to end this section? Click yes, and it will take you to the second question. You can see now in the top right hand corner that the time has started again. We now cannot go back. We cannot have another go at question 1. The extra time that we had once we submitted, we still have 55 minutes left. That has not been carried over to question 2. It has started again at 60 minutes and we will never be able to revisit question 1. So use all the time you have available. So in summary, make sure you know the pre-scene in advance, because whilst you can look at the pre-scene in the exam, it will take up a lot of your time. Also, make sure you know the industry, that you can bring up those key trends, key issues, key industry examples from the industry to illustrate to the examiner that you have done the research and that you are someone with business acumen. Plan effectively, and when you plan, use the answer box, because that is what is going to be submitted. It helps keep you focused and keeps you from duplicating your own efforts if you write the same thing in the scratch pad as you do in the answer box. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed it and more importantly you have found it useful. I'd like to finish by just telling you a few things about the products that we produce here at Astranti and the ones that are part of our course. So these materials can all be purchased as part of the course or purchased individually. So we have our study text. We have 3 study texts for all the objective test exams. So 3 study texts for E1, P1, F2, F3, etc. But we also have the study text specifically for the case study exams, split into 2 parts. The first is about how to approach the exam, how to analyze the information, how to plan your answers, how to write your answers, and also the second part, which looks at the key theories from the objective test levels that are relevant to the particular case study. So if you are looking at P2, F2, E2 for the management exam, F3, P3, E3 for the strategic case study exam, and so on. We have our course videos which look at how to plan your answers, how to manage your time effectively. These are the key reasons why people fail the exam. We have our pre-scene analysis, which looks at the pre-scene in a lot of depth, applies key information to that, and also concludes with the strategic analysis, where we look at the various different models in the CIMA syllabus and apply them to the case, and also the top 10 most likely issues to arise in your exam. Generally, we have a 70 to 80% accuracy rate on our top 10 issues. Our industry pack, which details in great depth the history and the current contemporary issues within the particular industry that the pre-scene is based on. We also have 20 to 25 industry examples that you can use within your answers. We have mock exams that can be purchased with or without marking and feedback, where you can get some real exam practice in, look for the kinds of things that the examiner is going to bring up in the exam, and also get marking and feedback from expert markers who have marked for CIMA and for us for many years, who know exactly the kind of things that the examiner is looking for, exactly the kinds of mistakes that students often make, and can provide lots of detailed feedback to ensure that you improve on your performance. We also have our master classes, which are 2 day-long classes which look at all the key issues facing students in the exam. We will also go through live planning, showing you how to plan your answers effectively, how to write your answers effectively. Again, key things that cause people to fail the strategic case study exam, or any of the case study exams for that matter. And also, if you do sign up for our course, provided that you have filled out your forms, provided that you have submitted your mocks, provided you have done everything to show that you have really given it your all to try and pass this exam, we also offer a pass guarantee giving a free resit to anyone who fails the exam.